All right, welcome back to the unofficial guide to vMix. In this video, we're going over the built-in color correction tools, how to use the waveform monitor and the vector scope to match cameras, color match cameras, and much more. Let's take a look. So these are the color wheels here in the color correction area of vMix, but I'd also like to show you the basic color corrections as well to do some simple tweaks before we even get to color correction. Now, if you're trying to match up multiple cameras, keep in mind that you should really be working in the camera first before it even gets to vMix. Yet, vMix gives you awesome monitor tools that you can use to adjust the color that's coming in from your live cameras or really any video input. So one thing that I almost always do when I'm working with a camera is I'll look at the black stretch a little bit, just to make sure the blacks are real black and the whites, just in case they're not white enough, are a little more, a little bit more white. Now, you don't normally need to do this if there's a perfect exposure coming in from your camera. But if you're not sure, you have the ability to monitor. Now, this is just an image, so otherwise we would see moving stuff here, and we'll take a look at some moving videos as well. But what we can do is we can right click on the side and we can take a look at the RGB waveform monitor, the just waveform monitor for exposure. We can look at the RGB waveform monitor, for example, which is color exposure with a preview next to us. And we can also look at a vector scope, which is helping us plot out colors and how much color is accurately represented in the image. But just getting started in the color adjust area, we might do a little bit of black stretch. You'd be surprised how much nicer that can make some of the cameras look, and maybe a little white stretch just to get started. But when we're ready to really start doing advanced color correction, we can do that in the color correction tab. Now, the first wheel represents blacks and shadows. So this is the lift. The second wheel represents gamma, and these are the midtones. So midtones, closer to skin tones, really. And then the third wheel is the highlights. This is the overall brightness of the image. Now, as we edit these, we can always reset them by hitting those little reset buttons in the top. Now, when you're working with these wheels, the first one is used for a particular part of your video image. This first wheel can be used to work with the dark areas. The middle wheel is the skin tones, and then the final wheel is the brightness. So use these three components to do color correction to match different cameras that might be looking a little different from each other. Now, adjustments can be made by dragging the circle around, but you can also use this in a color bars area, which is much easier, especially for beginners. Color bars allow you to just do red, green, or blue and not have to deal with these wheels. The problem with the wheels is whenever you're adjusting it, you're adjusting more than one color at a time. When you add some red, you're taking some blue away. So it's easier to just work with blues, greens, and reds individually in the lift, gamma, and gain for a lot of people. So then you can do independent color control. Now, let's take a look at a waveform monitor in a different input here. So keep in mind, by the way, that you can actually, in your preview area, always have a waveform monitor present. Probably with a preview is ideal. And what I want to do is I want to show a waveform monitor of a black and white color bar. So you see this black and white color bar here? These are perfect black, gray, and white. So you can see here that this side is the black, and it's total black. So it's all the way at the bottom. The gray, it's almost perfect gray. It's in the middle. And then the white on the right-hand side, that's perfect white. Now, this next one here that we're looking at is not so perfect gray and white. Okay, it's kind of gray, and it's kind of black, but it's not totally black, and it's not totally white. So this actually makes this a perfect example to show how we can adjust the colors to fix this. First of all, we can stretch the black. Now, as we stretch the black, that black there is starting to get closer to what should be perfect black at the bottom. So you can see I can make it totally black. We don't want to do that, but we can make it a little black, a little more black, and we can stretch the white. So we can stretch that white up to the top. And just that alone allows us to totally fix the black, gray, and white issues of this image where the blacks aren't totally black and the whites aren't totally white. And that is exposure in your cameras. You want crisp blacks, crisp whites, and you want to be able to do that. Now, on the color correction side, we also have the ability to do this with colors. Now, if we look into the waveform monitor on the Y aspect, we can see the different colors. Now, ideally, we would want, all of these to be perfect in the colors that they have. And the vector scope might be a better example. There's not a lot of color in this shot, so it might be easier for us to take a look at it on a moving video. Now, this is a video, so you can see that there's a girl here with some headphones on, and you can sort of see the colors that represent her. Now, as we add blue, you can see the blue lines going up and down. And ideally, you want these to be pretty close to the center, but things are all over the map, so you can kind of follow your eye. You have the ability to basic autocorrect, which I don't always like what that does, but it's an interesting effect. As you are color correcting, whether you're using the wheels or the bars, you can always turn it off and on to see what you've done. And if you like what you've done, and you're saying, I think that this color correction is really good, it's really making it look a lot better, then you can save a preset of the entire setup there. And let's just save this as, good color. And then you can add that to any other input. So if you've got 4 or 5 different cameras and you really like what you've done with one of them, you can save the color profile and upload it back into another input. So I will admit that I am colorblind. So I'm not amazing at this, and I've never been that good at it. There is a gentleman named Neil T on YouTube who has an absolutely incredible tutorial on how to use these color correction tools. So I'm going to refer to his video because it is so much better. And I'm colorblind, so this really is tricky for me. But I think that you've gotten a good look at what these vMix color corrections can do for your inputs. I know they've been incredible for us, and we use them almost every day. So that's it for this video. Take a look at the link below. Neil's video color correction tools for vMix video is incredible. So we'll move on to our next tutorial. Thanks, guys.